Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Feeding the Curious Mind. My name's John Pullen and I'm a writer of fiction and non-fiction books. Today we're going to look at a very famous landmark of London, but one which carries a lot of beliefs which are wrong by the general public. Now, London has a lot of very old buildings. Hundreds of years old, but it's also got some buildings which are around 1,000 years old. Westminster Abbey, part of the Palace of Westminster, the Great Hall, and of course the Tower of London. Now, just about a couple of hundred metres from the Tower of London is of course Tower Bridge, and that's where we have the first wrong belief. Tower Bridge was actually built in 1894, so it's not 1,000 years old. And when it was first opened, it wasn't that popular. The general public said it's far too flamboyant for us, but it's remained to this day. Now, the building of the bridge itself was put out to tender for who could design it and build it. A panel of judges were set up. One of them was a chap called Sir Horace Jones. And surprise, surprise, Sir Horace Jones won the competition. Well done him. Now, Tower Bridge itself is a mixture of two bridges. We have two towers, about 213 feet high at either end, and they form a suspension bridge. But in the centre of the roadway is able to lift in the centre to allow ships to go through. This is called a bascule. Now, when a ship is about to go through, and this happens today as well, barriers come down to stop the traffic, the bridge goes up in the middle, ship passes through, bridge comes down, and the traffic is usually going within 10 minutes or so. It's not always been so. It's not always run quite as smoothly as then. In 1952, there was some sort of lack of communication, so that when the bridge started lifting, no one told a double-decker bus that he should stop. It continued. The bridge started getting higher, the gap started getting wider, and the driver kept on driving uphill. When the gap was about 3 feet, something like that, or a bit more, the driver jumped the double-decker bus over the gap. I suppose in a way we could be looking at London's Evel Knievel. But also, there is a roadway and there is a walkway above the road. This gives a gap between the two. A number of aircraft over the years have flown through this gap. One or two perhaps legally, but most illegally. In fact, it hasn't happened for quite a few years. But recently, and I mean just in early 2024, we had two parachutists, skydivers, who flew down and passed through the gap in Tower Bridge, then angled themselves upwards so they gained height, and then they released their parachutes, and one landed on a barge which was there for them. The other one decided he would land in the water. This was totally legal. It was filmed by TV companies, and it was part, I think, of a sports paragliding and parachuting and adventure company called Red Bull. That all went well, and Tower Bridge is still there. Incidentally, my first flying lesson many years ago was taking a single-engined aircraft over Tower Bridge. This is something I'm afraid you can no longer do because we have London City Airport, we have Class A airspace going into Heathrow, and many, many other regulations. But when I did it, it was pretty exciting. And unfortunately, you can't do it anymore.